happened.
Well, let's move on. Let's take a look at whatever we have next.
Our map bans. Let's take a look at those here with the veto. And we'll start off with removing Oregon and Coastline. Oregon was played yesterday by Chaos, and Supremacy played Coastline. So Bank, Consulate, Border will get removed, leaves us with Clubhouse and Villa. Villa will get banned, and we'll see Clubhouse yet again. And you know what? This is actually a perfect segue to compare this to our previous matchup, because as I mentioned at the end of it, Chaos love to play the Monty in general.
Yep. So
if Supremacy let that slip on the attacker side, we'll definitely be seeing cash room attacks with the Monty.
Yeah, and to build on what Shaz was saying earlier, he's absolutely right. You know, you got to bring something like a Montagne, some sort of indestructible push when you're making that push into Garage. So if we see a lot of cash defenses, then maybe we'll see something like that from Chaos. I mean, I expect to see it from Supremacy as well. It's probably going to be a big focus for both teams, or I would assume so.
Yep.
You know, there's ways you can get around it too. You know, what we were seeing from both I Don't Know and Penta in the previous match, if we're still comparing, was instead of taking Garage, they were just doing the whole nade trick thing onto the Bandit batteries. The reason you would take Garage is to deny Bandit the ability to trick the wall, and it's more concrete of a way to do it if you can get it to work for you than nades. But they were trying to make those nades work for them. Both teams kind of did. And
for me, the grenades take a lot more teamwork because it involves 2 or 3 different operators to make things work.
Yeah.
And to make it a lot easier, you just bring the shield. We'll take a look at the community community poll here. Leave you to finish your point.
Well, this is one of the closest polls I think we've seen in a while. 49 to 38 and a 13% draw.
Would you give Supremacy the edge in this one?
I don't know who I would give the edge in this one, to be honest.
I mean, maybe after Supremacy's win. Oh well, not win. It was an upset, a tie against IDK last night. I can see how this would get boosted up to 49%. But personally, I would have put both teams at around the 35 to 40% mark, and then the draw having a bit more than this, closer to 20%.
Right. I don't know. I think this is a pretty close one. I think the match is going to be pretty close. The stakes are pretty high as well for both teams. Let's load into the match. We're going to be playing Clubhouse for the 2nd time in a row today. 2 borders, 2 clubhouses. That's our European play day. But yeah, no, the stakes are really high because both teams have been struggling. You know, we've got the 7th place team in Chaos and the 8th place team in Supremacy, and they want to get their way out of the bottom of the barrel. There needs to be a win here, I think, for either squad. A draw is not going to help either of them.
Yeah, it's actually going to have them sink a lot lower.
Yeah, it's so many points potential lost.
Well, Chaos will ban out the Lion. That'll be the first one to get removed. It means Supremacy will have 2 bans in a row because it's A, B, B, A. And the second one, what will it be? It should be Hard Destructor. Yeah, there you go, Habano. So the Thermite will be saved. We'll be seeing him being played quite a bit, pretty much on every single side, really.
Oh, very likely, yeah. This is a map that favors the Hard Destructors. I would say Habana is actually probably going to be more useful overall, but both are useful. Both are good. Mira as well, getting banned. No surprise there. Not really much to discuss. I'm guessing Echo.
Echo or Maestro?
Echo, Maestro, yeah.
Maestro, maybe.
Oh, look at Echo. Okay.
There we go.
So, surprise, surprise, the same operators that get banned almost every time. Yeah, not much of a mix-up here from the last match. I mean, the only difference is actually the Maestro for getting banned instead of an Echo, and the Habana instead of, sorry, the Glass getting banned instead of Habana. So, kind of changed a little bit, but even in both matches, it's been predictable on Clubhouse.
All right, we'll see as the reveal phase is upon us. We'll have a 6th pick for any of these 2 teams.
This is interesting too. We also have a gym defense for the first round yet again.
Jackal and Frost.
Okay, so we've got a gym defense first round for Chaos. We've got a Frost 6-picked and a Jackal 6-picked. So the Jackal I kind of get. The Frost is interesting, and I guess it kind of makes sense as well.
For gym?
For gym, yeah. I mean, there's so many windows, but I don't.
I can see it. Now, they don't have a castle. And personally, If I'm setting up on this, I would probably go for a castle instead of a frost, but this might be the mindset of chaos here. And you'll correct me on this one because you do have more experience in it.
What's up?
Maybe it's chaos pulling out that one-trick pony, just play it one round, see if it works, and then default back to the castle.
I mean, yeah, maybe. That could be it. I mean, that's all down to their individual thought process on the fly, right? It makes sense. It's reasonable. You can see they're double reinforcing in cash room, or sorry, server room specifically. And maybe they're going to put a frost trap underneath the garage window and try to bottleneck that. I don't know. Whatever the case, it is an interesting pick for sure. And I think it has to do with their extension over to cash, that they're trying to defend the entire top floor instead of just half of the top floor. Either way, the reason we have to question a frost pick is very specific. In order for a frost mat to work, it requires the enemy team to be negligent. And not just, oh, I accidentally forgot to check for that invisible Legion mine. No, it really, really big mistake has to be made for someone to step on a frost trap.
Definitely looks pretty once it happens, but you know, Crips,
wow,
it's going to be the first one to fall in this one. The Jaeger will get losses. Anthrax takes him out, and there you go. That's the angle. That's why if you're going to play in garage, you should probably be reinforcing those doors.
Not just should, you must. I mean, as is clearly, you know, shown by the elimination of that Jaeger so early on into the round. And, well, shades of the previous match, right? I mean, we saw Cantor Ketty get dispatched in the first minute last time in the first round, and it was Jim as well.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Wrong lifeline, a little bit of wasted utility, but Dejus recovers, and he will now open a line of sight into Cash as Secretly runs out from Strip Club. He will get Alpha Alma. So, refrag, and on to the Jackal no less. So no tracking in this round.
All right, so thus the smokes of Alpha Alma also lost. K6 is also bringing the glass, so obviously the combo is very easy to tell. It's a good run out as well to find the kill on the Jackal, who is rotating around to play closer to his teammates around construction. K6 even unsure, maybe there'll be a flank, and you know, that's probably what we have in mind here for Secretly, as the Frost is pushing in from blue. And yeah, roamers on Clubhouse. This thing happens in 2018.
Yeah, again, if you're not familiar with CG Sports or the old Clubhouse, roamers never used to happen. So Secretly going to get a solid flank onto K6, but he's actually apparently aware of this, and oh, the peeking, the timing, Secretly just on the wrong end of that, and K6 will get the kill. Renewals gets Crisco as he attempts to push out of office into the hallway and hits the Legion, and that's going to further delay this attack. B site pressure as well as A site pressure from construction, and the defenders have it all locked up. This attacker's very lit. Red Groove will get Anthrax after Dejus gets Snookin, so constant back and forth here, and Frostmat will actually see success. The last attacker now, K6, the Glaz inside a bathroom will push through the rotation hole and get Red Groove, but Renewals is there to shut him down, Secretly with the Frostmat kill as well. You can't, by the way, if you're wondering, you can't withstand because it's Frostmat and it prevents you from picking yourself up.
That is the one counter at the end.
To a Zofia.
Yeah, to a Zofia withstand. Puts her back up to 5 health. That is, of course, a real thing in the genes of every single Polish person we would know living in here.
Oh, yeah. No, there's some tough people.
I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah, they've gotten down by bullets.
People just randomly fall on the street and just
pick themselves up. Okay,
but
CCTV.
One thing, though.
What's up?
The fact that the diffuser was lost there in the office, I really don't get. I struggle to understand why the diffuser was rotated from the office when you don't even plant there. By the way, it's the bedroom and gym.
I'm not sure. I mean, it was probably just a misplay by Supremacy. They had a couple in that round, and you know, putting the diffuser in the wrong place, probably just an oversight. Maybe they felt they didn't have enough manpower to give it to the right person. I mean, regardless, they were really spread out on that take no matter how you look at it. You know, trying to come in from offices and just through the site door and the windows all at the same time. It seemed like they didn't have a clear-cut idea of what they wanted to accomplish in the round. And I think that's what allowed Chaos the relative ease on the actual hold.
All right, we'll see the setup here in cash room / server defense from Chaos. Redgrove will bring out the Bandit. You've seen how strong the Bandit can be here. This is a specific thing that Chaos will like to do. Teams in general have gotten around to this sort of strategy, setting up an extendable shield downstairs. They know they have a reinforced wall. They'll have to set up at least one Bandit battery to protect it, I guess. But Redgrove's focus is going to be up top.
All right, so this is great. We actually see a reinforced garage wall for the first time today.
So because Secretly's playing from there, he can impact any thermite, exothermic charges that are used because they know Hibana's banned.
Yep.
So they don't have to worry about any odd angles that we saw even at the end of the round with Penta. When they opened up an angle to try and contest the garage top floor, that didn't work out at the end. You don't have to think about that at all in this round.
Yeah, smart plays there from Chaos, able to position themselves properly to deny that garage potentially. Now Jaeger's going to be challenging from stock, and that's Crips, who will eventually fall back to blue stairs. Oh, the timing just comes off the angle at the wrong moment. Could have gotten a free kill there onto the Jackal, but Secretly will get Crisco. Still some damage done to the attackers regardless, and Crips is doing a great job of distracting all aside. Secretly is lit up, but he still has control over garage, and he's going to use that to great effect. Now, a droning Zofia Dejuz on the other side of that lounge wall, but Secretly just not going to commit himself to checking it before he peeks into Dejuz and hits the shot. Dejuz not paying attention, will be eliminated before Redgrove at the top of garage gets a second, this time onto K6. So it's all up to Althalma and the Thermite of Anthrax.
That was a beautiful bit of play from Secretly. Somehow, some way, makes it happen. No, he's still alive, and that's even more complicated to deal with. Althalma taking a bit of damage, and we'll find the headshot onto Crips. The goo mines set pretty much everywhere with a minute 12 on the clock. Legion has set up most of his stuff, and there you go. You see, finally, from second to last, probably goo mine that was just deployed. Secretly falls back. He just does not want to engage, and you know what? That's pretty smart. Keep extra manpower for you to use.
Jackal hopefully aware he has the detector, and there you go. He is going to use that Inox Model 3, as it's called. Renewals, though, at the top of the stairs will get Althalma after the detection, which will cancel it out, which means Anthrax is the final attacker, and he'll be coming from the top of those blue stairs. Well, it's not an easy push, no matter how you look at it. And he does have some lit opponents. However, it's still not going to aid him very much. The initial challenge is the staircase. He doesn't really have any other avenues that he can utilize. Now, oh no, I was about to say luckily for him, the defenders have come off that staircase hold, but after he hits the Legion Trap and shoots a little bit to give away his position, you can see that they will clamp down on him hard. Redgrove gets that kill. Anthrax eliminated, and Chaos 2 rounds in a row.
And there you go, the angle having pre-opened for Redgrove to play against. They realize those blue stairs and their lead into the back stairs are very, very important, which puts 2 rounds on the board for the Swedes of Chaos. How do you adapt to this if you're Supremacy? Now, they lost that site. They know it's Chaos will have to play anything outside of servers, cache, and bedroom gym. They'll have to go down to church. What do you change?
For Supremacy right now, I wouldn't. I would attack as a team because they haven't yet. Mm-hmm. They've been playing as a bunch of random individuals trying to get some kills. Every single one of their attacks, and we've only seen 2 of them so far, have been from just every possible angle. I critiqued earlier, I don't know, in the previous match for having somewhat one-dimensional attacks. I mean, they did spread themselves out. Okay, it wasn't so locked up, but it did cost them that they couldn't come from multiple angles at once. Here, we're seeing Supremacy try to come from every angle, but with 1 player at a time, and you can't do that. That's not going to work out great for you, and it's why they've lost 2 rounds in a row now, because Chaos, on the other hand, have been working well together, and have always been, or had somebody in a position to get those refrags and to help maintain control.
I wonder. Oh, there we go. We have a disconnect. Snooken will be brought back into the game as we're not at the end of the prep phase. We'll remind you of the rule set. if there is a need for a rehost, it has to happen either within the first minute of the round, or, well, and on top of that, there has to be no kills that have happened within that first minute. So that's something to keep in mind. We also will come back with the same operators that we had for that church defense.
So if somehow you accidentally team damage one of your teammates down to 40 HP, and then the Twitch drone zaps that guy to death,
it's all done.
It's all done. No rehost. That would be an unfortunate circumstance. I don't think I've seen that in Pro League before, but
Probably has happened once.
it probably happened once, yeah. Maybe it was like, it must have been a long time ago, though. Like, way, way back.
I mean, the amount of matches that we have for every season,
Yeah.
probably possible.
Probably when we had the initial round robin system way back in the beginning.
Yeah, with the
With
best of
best
two
of
system
twos.
that we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That was probably something like that. But so what we've seen so far, let's summarize this match. A lot of spread out attacks from Supremacy.
very uncoordinated.
Very uncoordinated. They haven't had a clear idea of what they're trying to execute onto. Meanwhile, Chaos, quite the opposite. Their defensive has been solid. They've always had someone to support each other. So if your office player gets eliminated, there's someone in the hallway of office to get that refrag, you know. And that coordination is allowing them to maintain the initiative and get those round wins. So we'll see if they can chain that together. They're going to be going down to the basement for the first round ever. We've been seeing that. They went to gym first. They went to cash second. Now, basement's a little bit of a different site than what it used to be, but it's still considered a viable one in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, the big change, obviously, is that blue stairs. So that makes things a bit more complicated, depending on how you look at it for the defense. That can be used immediately, as we saw Jonas in the previous round, for example. The instant he saw that that was clear, takes control of it, because this means that rotations from the defenders to play that roam game and flank against the attacking squad coming in from the main hallway are just not viable.
We've also seen, however, as a result of the basement getting an extra lane added to blue, the defenders overcompensate for that new lane and place too much emphasis on blue itself and detract from the rest of their site. So, for example, in the last match we just witnessed, in the very last round of that match, Penta was on attack, I don't know, on defense, and Penta was allowed to walk down the main stairs, open up a wall into Arsenal, and just waltz in and get a defuse plant because the defense was too centered around blue. And then the defending I don't know players had to start their retake into Arsenal. They almost made it happen, actually. If it weren't for Kanto Raketti, they probably would have gone that clutch.
I think we can say if it weren't for Kanto Raketti so many times in that match alone.
Yeah. But at the same time, the fact still stands that wall was left unreinforced in Arsenal, and thus they left an opportunity for Kanto Raketti to make that play. They weren't holding anything in Arsenal, deep Arsenal, to deny the push once it eventually came out through that hole. And, you know, just so many things left unguarded. And that's what we've actually been seeing from a lot of different teams. I've noticed it a lot just across the board for Clubhouse basement defense. Teams are forgetting about construction tunnel. They're forgetting about, or dirt tunnel as it's called now, confusing with the new construction being added on the top floor. Dirt tunnel, they're forgetting about it. The Arsenal wall, people are forgetting about it. Kitchen drop, people are forgetting about it. It's just, you know, people are trying to, I don't know, maybe it's because the site's so much bigger, maybe it's because roamers are so much more viable, but it just seems like not all the normal lanes are being held by every team.
Yeah. There are certain positions where you will overcompensate, as you mentioned, put too much utility and even sometimes manpower into, because you're afraid. You don't know. Now, some of the teams, what they will do is go up for late reinforcements or, you know, late rotations for their players. That's not always viable, but when it does happen, it's always nice to see. Personally, this is something you and I had to talk about a few months back, actually.
Were we talking about the faster reinforcements?
Exactly. When Operation Outbreak came out, right after 6 Invitational, if you guys played Outbreak, you could reinforce walls in literally a second and a half.
Yeah.
It was
great.
And I'm like, what if we actually had that for regular play? It means that mid-round reinforcements actually become viable because you can adapt to your opponents. It'll change a lot on its own.
There's actually a lot of conversation around those reinforcements. A lot of people were saying, why not?
Have it.
Like, why not? But ultimately it didn't happen. We don't have it now. So Not viable, I guess.
Yeah, we're actually thinking about timing. It's like, oh, well, they reinforced that fast, so prep phase should be tuned down by maybe 10 seconds, and then...
I mean, that's good for everyone, right? The prep phase at times can be, well, I mean, this is all just game theory talk, but, you know, it would be really cool to see faster reinforcements. And
that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to say. So in this match, when it comes to reinforcements, we're dealing with basement.
Yeah.
Usually you need to have all of them down a lot quicker. You know, that in that site in particular, there's some dead set reinforcements. If you don't have them, it's going to really hurt your hold. And again, you know, referenced it just earlier, you know, that one that I don't know neglected, the Arsenal wall, that cost them. You need to have everything covered. So it's like 2 in dirt tunnel, that's 3 on the church wall, that's 2 on the or 3 on the drops. So you're looking at like you got 2 left, and then you probably usually put those on the Arsenal wall. And that's usually how most people will hold it. You can put it on the blue walls as well. I think that's why we didn't see one on the Arsenal wall in the I don't know match, is because instead of putting it on Arsenal wall, they put it on blue walls to allow for some, you know, safer cover for the anchors inside of blue. But again, that's that focus. Yeah, that's that focus shift though. That what I was talking about earlier is you can't neglect an entire reinforcement like that. You can shift things, but you can't just, hey, here, have Arsenal wall. It's all yours free.
Yeah, and in that matchup particularly, because we're mentioning that specific round of Penta NDK because it went down on Church, and it was such a good execution with some specific points that we're mentioning, is that the Thermite opened up Dirt Tunnel, and then you had Pengu coming in. Obviously, they lost the Thermite from the run-up from Leon on the Valkyrie, but it was instantly refragged, and because there wasn't enough manpower, there was nobody to, be able to actually watch that rotational construction, because you're watching 2 positions to come from blue, but also you can't even put any utility there because the hatch and kitchen had already been opened, and the attackers are looking through it, trying to find anybody as they're rotating.
So, point being, reinforcements, they're important. And
nailed it.
And we'll see how they actually get placed once we actually get into the basement hold, because we're not there yet. So waiting on everyone to get back, and once we get everything sorted, we'll just, of course, jump right in. But in the meantime, we can only theory craft in what we are expecting to see, because we haven't seen anything about the basement hold.
Because we have to come back, there has to be a glass on the attack, right? I think Dejus was playing it.
I don't remember.
There was a glass, but I think Dejus, I don't remember if it was actually him, but Dejus was playing the glass. I wonder if we're going to see a Necrotic style push into that blue blue generator, because we've seen how successful Necrotics can be on it. We've seen how successful really other players in general on the operator, like Zephyr, just a few matches ago, were with the PMM and the OTS. Maybe this is the point to pull this one out here, because you don't have to have too many players on the attackers pushing through into blue at that point.
I mean, it's possible, right? No, it's definitely a good piece of utility that you can use to your advantage. We haven't seen it in a while. I want to say that that push from Dirt is just, you know, it's kind of fallen out of the meta, but it's viable when we do see it. It helps when we do see it. The only problem, the reason it's not so used anymore, I would imagine, is just you don't have a lot of line of sight. Yeah, you can extend your line of sight because you can push into the smoke, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to pull it off properly, and then you leave yourself exposed. You know, people can still see the tracers from your gun unless you're using a silencer, and people often don't use silencer on glass. So it's a difficult push no matter what, not how you look at it, but it's still good if you can pull it off.
Yeah, and I mean, we had the conversation. It was all over socials for a couple days when Necrox himself was using a suppressor on the glass to distinctly hide the tracers.
Exactly.
And that was at the cost of damage. Not only that, but also penetration damage, which to some extent is even more important when you're pushing into blue, because you're going to be looking at shots through the wall into Church or into the armory once you have control of it.
Yeah, and, you know, from what we've been seeing, apparently glass is actually going to be getting a damage reduction, so maybe adding that silencer, or suppressor rather, in the future is actually going to be less viable than it is right now. So interesting thought to consider moving forward. We aren't there yet. You know, the mid-season reinforcement patch isn't down yet, but it is in the future.
Yeah.
There's also some other crazy changes that are happening in that patch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talk about, oh, the Blackbeard nerf, and I'm like, What are you talking about, Blackbeard? You mean the Blackbeard buff? You mean how he's getting more damage to his MK17 and he moves faster with his shield on?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 points of damage reduced from the shield.
Move faster? Yeah,
yeah.
Take it any
I'll
day.
take the move faster for 10. If you've been playing Siege for any period of time, you know that 3 speed is the best speed, hands down.
Yeah.
It's no contest. So movement speed, rate of fire, these are the valued statistics in Rainbow Six.
I think the big one is the Finka change.
The Finka change, yeah. I mean, it's different. It's a really big change.
Big rework. Just the grenades on their own.
Yeah.
Are huge. Taking those grenade away from our beloved Agent IQ means that Finka is going to be a big pick. But add to that the fact that she takes well, everybody that's nano boosted takes less damage from smokes. She still retains the basically no recoil buff once the nano boost is activated, but it's down to 10 seconds from 20.
You know, I've heard people actually say that the no recoil buff is actually works against them at times. You know, I know. It's weird, but there's some people who like to have the recoil, because when you go from knowing how to control your recoil perfectly to you don't have any, it can be disorienting. It can really throw you through a loop. And
why am I shooting at his feet now? I was shooting at the head.
Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for waiting, but we have a game to play, and we'll be getting back into it. 0-2 in favor of Chaos.
Alrighty then, we'll see how things play out from Supremacy, as they are, yet again, we'll remind you, on the attack. They've lost their first 2 rounds, and in round 3, they bring Buck the Jackal, the Zofia, that Thermite, and the Glass that we talked about before. And this is an interesting lineup from the defense. They have Red Grooves is going to be sending out the bandit batteries on the Church, but they also have Secretly and Crips on the Vigil and that Alibi, respectively.
Solid lineup, that's for sure. We don't usually see both of the Italian operators. That's actually kind of an oddity.
It's been happening more and more often. I think Clubhouse itself, the map that lends itself to it. Border, we've seen it a couple times as well when Maestro isn't banned. So you know, both operators definitely offer quite a bit of utility. A lot of people were talking about Alibi and her Prismas. At a certain point, they don't really get too much in the way.
Yeah, I mean, the Prismas as a piece of utility aren't that great, to be honest. They don't really give you much at all in terms of Pro League viability. You know, in ranked, she's an awesome operator, from my understanding, and she can be dominant there. But not so much here. The reason people bring her, she's got a shotgun pistol you can open up drop-downs with, and she's got impacts and a decent gun, so she makes a really good roamer.
And one thing to mention is that if you're playing Glaz, she will be highlighted in yellow if you're actually looking at Alibi. But if you're looking at her Prismas, they still remain gray. So that's one way for you to, you know, play things around if you did not know about that part of the kit.
So, because Habana is banned, it will be an attempted Thermite, but the Thermite is canceled out seemingly by an Evil Eye, possibly placed inside of Kitchen. Well placed indeed, and that's one of 2 potential things that could be opened by the Hard Destructor. And now
oh my god,
gonna have to look for other options.
Hello, Buck?
So Buck obviously should have nades.
Can we go into, there we go, finally, I've never seen this. This is the first time I actually see this Evil Eye being set. Crisco has the frag grenades, but
I respect that he's just not trying to waste his utility. At the same time, I think he's wrong in this decision. He should probably get rid of that Evil Eye. Ju's pressuring into dirt, and he's going to lay down some fire and put some damage into Red Groove. And some early damage done. I say early, we've had 2 minutes transpire already.
Attackers have recovered their
holding off now. The Alibi has not moved. I wonder where Secretly is. Now, Grenade's going to get thrown in the kitchen to the hallway, and it will connect. Snooken goes down, but Renewals is down on the floor. It's up to Red Groove, Secretly, and Crips on the Alibi. Now, the Alibi has not rotated back. And this might have things working their way. The Buck will get taken down, Secretly, and Crips with 1, but Alpha Man Anthrax will chime in. Renewals has been brought back up, but they don't know that he's coming in here just yet. The Thermite is right at the entrance. The Jackal will turn around. Alpama will get the kill, and that's Renewals with 1, but Anthrax trades it. Renewals will get shot down. You see the Zofia Jus all the way in the back of the armory, and that'll give Supremacy, the Frenchman, their first round on the board.
Solid execution there. A lot of it has to do with the ability to use that vertical play well, and the fact that they eventually did get control over dirt. Though outright they won in the frag game. Those roamers not really affecting the round too much from Chaos. They had them out in good positions and they just weren't able to capitalize. It's just a normal collapse onto the basement really, and props to Supremacy for being able to pull it off without a Hibana. It's a little bit harder than you might imagine, especially considering they lost one thermite charge to an Evil Eye.
Yeah, and that was an ingenious Evil Eye, but again, I think it's just a big mistake from Supremacy, not using their grenade from the buck to just chuck it into the Evil Eye and take it out. Evil Eye is such a great piece of kit that it's totally worth a grenade.
If you have something to get rid of an Evil Eye, you use that thing to get rid of that Evil Eye. It's just kind of a rule of life in Siege, but I mean, it was post the thermite charge being broken anyway, so maybe they just figured, hey, we don't really need to, it's already too late. Maybe they didn't really concern themselves with the information, and ultimately it didn't really matter. They did win the round regardless, so that's the most important thing. And I think they even got the Evil Eye. They baited it out. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they did destroy it somehow.
Yeah, it happens at the end where the Maestro is focused on it a bit too much, and you know, there you go. Gets taken out, but that was in the past. Round number 4 here being set up as Chaos again on the defense, and yet again they will bring the Maestro and set their Evil Eye in your standard position at the top of the garage.
So a good way to hold the push a little bit in garage. Again, as was discussed earlier in the previous match, it's hard to make that push at times. And neither team has really been committing themselves to that. I mean, well, obviously we've only seen Supremacy attack so far, but they haven't really been committing themselves to that. And now they are going to start, it seems.
Yeah, I want to see how Chaos actually set themselves for this.
Oh boy, oh no. Oh, this droning right now is going to allow for an easy kill for Dejus. And Crips is there for the refrag, but still, that's the Maestro.
That's a big kill on the Maestro, and honestly, you saw that defense, you're like, oh, they're defending cash. No, they're not. This is bedroom and gym.
Yeah.
It's so far off, so spread out, that it really doesn't make too much sense. Now, because the Maestro was shot down, the Evil Eye cannot be moved. It can be used, but it cannot be opened. So you have to keep that in mind. The Jackal will fire it off with the ITA. Try and get an angle on Crips playing inside of the cash room, but of course the Bandit secretly helping him in the back. Finally, the Thermite will open up the wall to ease Supremacy's way in, as Crips will take a bit more damage. Maybe he'll fall back. So.
This whole dance works out in the end for the defenders since they're not losing too much manpower while doing this. As long as they can get at least one trade back or even a kill, they're going to get it down onto Alfalma. They don't know about it though, and K6 is going to shut down Crips before he can secure that kill. Now you can see secretly going for the spray, and Anthrax is going to finish him off. So that's actually a win, hopefully, for Supremacy. Chaos seemed to be in control of the situation, but they lost it thanks to that well-placed smoke grenade from the glass. You know, you might say wasted utility, but honestly, it was really well-timed.
Yeah, and the rotation from the Jaeger, not realizing that there was the glass there, really did not work out in his favor. And of course, the Bandit really forcing himself into the refrag, kind of lost himself out, even though he could have rotated back and nobody was there to contest him. Snook him. Throw in his remote gas canister with 45 seconds left on the clock. Will sneak right past his SMG-11 as Anthrax is holding the back angle. He gets the spray, and that's Snookin now removed. Red Groove all up to him as he gets one on Alphamat, turns it into a 3v1. We've seen this man clutch things before. He's got to be very careful playing against the glass, and from the side, K6 will take him out. Supremacy to tie it 2-2.
So, the Galaz, instrumental in that round, pretty much the sole reason they were able to win it. It was the reason they managed to get, or Supremacy managed to get control over Cash. It was the reason they were able to push out of Cash into Master. I mean, whenever there wasn't a Galaz involved in the engagement, Chaos were getting kills, and yeah.
And one thing I want to ask you about is that utility setup in server and in garage when the defense was set mostly in the bedroom. it allowed for the flank to come in from the Zofia.
Yeah, so that was a huge piece of negligence on Chaos's part. There's not really any way to sugarcoat it. They did not hold the main stairs, or sorry, the cache stairs, and that you can't overlook that. This is a simple part of the equation. If you're gonna hold in cache, you need to hold the stairs. The reason you do that is simply because of how much control it affords you, but also how easy it is to hold those stairs. I mean, it's one of the it's pretty much an unlosable fight, but you have to have someone at the top looking down instead of addressing the attackers as they come into the hallway.
Defenders,
either way,
from being defused by attackers.
and it's a series of mistakes from Chaos and some good capitalization from Supremacy, as well as, yet again, that Glaz play being just exceptional, allowing them to get the win.
And now we actually get to play on server in that cache room. So the setup from Chaos will make a lot more sense once they set up that evil eye, because of course we'll be seeing Maestro again. That is Renewals, putting him on the board again.
Well, Maestro, a very useful operator, sure, and all it comes down to how long you can stay alive.
5
So,
seconds left
as long as he doesn't
insertion.
die in the first couple seconds of the round, it should be good.
Attackers
Should be able
recover
to
the
help his team out.
Attackers
Now,
objective is to locate a bomb.
the setup from Chaos so far is nothing out of the ordinary, but they're going to be pretty light on the Master side. You notice how when they're defending Master, they roam heavy into Cache, but when they're defending Cache, they don't roam heavy into Master?
Yeah.
That's a little
Which
bit
is
of a...
odd.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's odd. It's just, I think it's telling of what they are comfortable with, right? Where they are comfortable. And yeah, okay, I guess in a way it's odd, but yeah, it's just their identity being shown out. They're more comfortable on the Cache side of this top floor than they are on the gym side, and that's clear as day. Now, it stands to reason, given that Cache is the default site for most teams.
Yeah.
But it's something that I think they're going to need to work on, because if you're gonna have a mentality, if you're gonna have a stratagem, then you should really stick to it.
It's a bit funny to say that cache room is, that main site. It's still a bit of an oddity, even though we've seen quite a bit of Clubhouse.
SK was ahead of their time.
Yeah. They were there before everybody else.
A bomb has been located.
Renewals. Holding an angle into the master door to construction. This is a very aggressive one to hold. Could potentially actually cost them dearly. If K6 challenges this with smoke and manages to get that kill, then that's a really bad start to the, second half of this round.
Renewals just holding the angle still from the
Attackers
cache
have
room.
dropped the bomb diffuser.
Crips will be the first one to get a kill off of this one, and that's the oh my
Wow.
god, that is a huge kill.
He's got the diffuser as well.
Is the diffuser still set
Attackers
on
have
the
recovered
balcony?
their
No,
Oh,
it's
there-
down out of the balcony where Jaeger got that kill. Althalma, I think, is going to retrieve it. And yes, indeed, he has retrieved that diffuser. So good use there from up to the time from the Thatcher. Renewals will get K6. So I said if you challenge using the smoke, not challenge raw, but he did it raw. And K6 could not win that fight, allowing Renewals now to reposition into construction. He will have a great spot to get further kills if he's not spotted out.
Oh, there we go. He'll find one. The Buck just seemingly not knowing what's going on at all. The Zeus turns around. Don't flick that secretly. They stop and contest the stairs, where Red Groove will eke out the win as the Zeus is the last man alive versus the 3. He'll get one. He can't find the headshot angle on the second. A bit too close for comfort there. There's more damage done to the Zeus. Renewals runs in and gets the last one. 3K. Control key is tested. Renewals, I have to say, brilliant Maestro play throughout this entire half. Except for the one round that, he got shot in the back. But
That must have been a miscommunication. Usually when that happens, it's a misunderstanding. It's someone saying, "Hey, I've got your stairs," and then Renewals is shouting, "Who's covering my stairs?" And no one responds.
no, actually, yeah.
So, solid defense there from Chaos, and they clearly show their preference in terms of sites. And the attack, meanwhile, from Supremacy was actually pretty well executed. The main differences, of course, being that their Glaz, K6, was not peeking into the smoke. He was peeking just dry, and he was unable to win the fights without that smoke cover. If he had, maybe thrown the smoke in his doorway instead of the wall adjacent, he probably would have won the fight against Renewals, and then it would have just cascaded in their team's favor from there. That's the same thing we saw happen in all of the previous attack rounds.
Yeah, now, this is the operator I was expecting.
Montaigne,
Yeah.
you did call it.
It's pretty much a distinct operator for Chaos, no matter the
Attackers
map,
need to
really.
locate and defuse bombs.
It's like, even if Chalet and Skyscraper were back in here, they would still play them. They used to play this a lot on Cafe as well, before it was removed, and they somehow have found a way to play it yet again on new Clubhouse. Well, now current Clubhouse, I guess. We're in the present. But there'll be an attack into the church, and a Monty push into church usually means dirt tunnel.
Camera activated.
I mean,
Back
yeah,
in the day, it did.
back in the day, it absolutely did. You're totally right.
5 seconds left.
I think right now with this Clubhouse, you could do dirt tunnel. You could also
Attackers
do
recovered the bomb
blue.
diffuser.
I'm
Attackers are
thinking,
moving out
I'm
to
imagining
locate the
a heavy blue push right now
I
from
agree.
Chaos. It's probably going to be the most solid strategy. The reason you would do this is very simple. When you can isolate angles so easily by using a Glaz and a Montaigne, and you can win these crossfire. Oh no, Alfalma with the aggressive play will get the headshot on Cripps. So I was about to lay credit at the feet of Glaz, and now he's dead. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Chaos to get the control that they so need.
Yeah, and usually you would see the Glass sitting behind the Monty, and it just fire away at his opponent's downrange. And now that Glass is non-existent, and I wonder if this changes the entirety of the setup for Chaos, because low on manpower when you're trying to execute plays like that, especially an important operator for your attack, a bit of a complicated position to be in, and I wonder how they're gonna strategize around having that Monty, because if you're not able to play him correctly, you might as well have picked any other op.
Secretly going to contest blue stairs. Alfalma still playing there. Red Groove going to use the little hard destruction that he has to open up the Moto drop down. That's telling of where the eventual push will come, as you only have 2 drops that can be opened in this round. And if you open 2 drops, that means you can't open any walls, so you're limiting yourself. Now there's a pulse inside of Armory, and K6 will call out, well, rather Anthrax will call out K6's D4, using that heartbeat detector, and get the kill onto IQ. Red Groove able to refrag onto Crisco, so it's a back and forth between Chaos and Supremacy. Some missed opportunities via missed shots from Snookin means that DeJuice is actually only going to lose about half of his HP in deep sight.
Yeah, so the smoke will survive. Just around that 70% health mark. Red Groove might just be using the exothermic charge onto the church to play off of. There you go. You see the EMP having been thrown right in.
Oh no, was that an impact? It was indeed. What a play from the defense. Red Groove has lost his last exothermic charge and now can no longer open up the church wall. This has just thrown a monkey wrench into the attack strategy of Chaos. And that was, I believe, yes, it was Supremacy's ban of the Habana isolating that threat. And now so little hard destruction means this attack has become exceptionally difficult.
You'll see Snookin coming in from the side. He just sneaks right in, but there's so many targets for him to look at. Red Groove gets one on DeJuice, but Alfalma will refrag. There's 10 seconds on the clock as Red Groove comes on in, and they can use Renewals to cover the plant. Use your shield, Renewals. There you go. He puts himself right in front of the Jaeger to block it. Can't get the kill as Renewals will refrag and stand right on the diffuser.
Oh no. It can't be.
Have eyes on the
Not
diffuser.
again.
Attackers need to protect it.
Is this?
There's definitely going to be a way. There's a way around this.
Oh!
K6 will find it. Supremacy able to get the disable. That was a scary situation for sure. If the Montaigne had been allowed to get one more kill, that would have been unlosable for him.
Yeah, that reminded me of the olden days where Zeronic used to play in that way with the Monty. It was definitely a very interesting half season.
A nice try there from Chaos. Their attack was well thought out. However, they didn't account for everything. And ultimately, that ban onto Habana from Supremacy earlier in the match, or at the very beginning, of course, means that now on attack, Chaos are feeling very limited. Meanwhile, I feel like Supremacy didn't have this limitation when they were attacking. They didn't feel like they were in the same hole. So props to Supremacy, knowing what their weaknesses are, knowing what their strengths are, their ability to maneuver around hard breachers, and really leaning into that in the op-ban phase.
All right, well, we'll see how Chaos adapt to this one, as they're going to bring the same operator lineup, this time for Gym and Bedroom. I think they were, I mean, they were probably expecting Cache and Server.
I would have expected Cache and Server, certainly. I mean, the whole Gym Bedroom thing seems to be a sort of pick that you bring, like, yeah, they're not going to expect this. This will totally be different. But at the same time, it's a viable site just as much as Cache is. I think it's less explored, but it's equally viable.
Now, how do you think the Monty will be played in this one? I don't see it pushed through any window. I just see it from construction directly onto the site and going for a plant with support from the window.
I honestly can't tell you, man. I would say there's a lot of ways you can use them. So, for example, if I were to guess at what they're going to do based on what most people do, they're going to push from construction. They're going to walk in through the A door with the Montaigne. They're going to maybe try to smoke and plant behind the smoke, using the Montaigne shield to block the bullets, maybe block the C4, do what they can in that regard. That's totally a viable strategy. It's going to be a bit of a risk, but they can pull it off. There's only gas canisters to deny that right now. You probably don't even have C4. I mean, let's check the Bandit. He'll be the decider if there's C4 or not. But he either has C4 or barbed wire, very likely barbed wire. And so if you want to stop a plant, again, you only have Dejus to do that with.
Now Renewals will walk on into the garage. Ampex is ready. This is something that Chaos excel at, which is to divert the line of sight of the castle away. Unfortunately, Ampex will do a bit more damage and even a bit extra. Crips getting very low on health, that is for sure. A couple bullets would be more than enough, even with the UMP, as Alfama is brought in to help out in the defense.
This is really actually not that easy for the Glaz to win out, especially considering he's not using any of his smokes. And a missed nade from Secretly followed up with some missed shots. You can see even he's kicking himself for that one, but he eventually does get Anthrax, and that's a very important kill. Now control over server for Chaos and Garage by proxy, allowing Red Groove to open up the cache wall, or sorry, server wall. Now, all that done, this isn't the site. We're attacking Master right now. So that was a lot of utility and time that Chaos just used to get the control that they have now. And it was worth it for sure. But it means they're going to be a lot less powerful as they make their push. And especially considering the hurt is being thinned as Red Groove gets taken down by Alfama.
If the Glaz has to watch your back, it's not a good position to be in, that's for sure.
Yeah, Glaz is not your ideal flank watch. That's absolutely agreed. It's going to need to pick up that diffuser as well at some point and bring it back to the site, start that attack. And meanwhile, I mean, the whole Chaos attack really needs to figure out what it's doing, because we don't know yet. You've got people going downstairs, you've got roamers downstairs, you can see Secretly he's hunting down this Jaeger, he's going to lose that out. Alfama gets his second kill in this round, and it's starting to really fall into favor for Chaos, but for Supremacy. But the one thing that Chaos has going for them is the smoke grenades. However, those are going to be countered by the gas canisters from Dejus.
Yeah, there are extra gas grenades to be used, or smoke grenades to be used by the Monty.
Right.
So yeah, those will combo pretty well, but you need to come in and get a plant off them. There you go. The smoke grenade is going to get missed here as a gas canister will get thrown in. Crips will check real fast into the gym, but well done by Supremacy. Not really worrying too much about it. Not sneaking against it a bit too fast. Crisco goes in for the kill, as when your Monty is ADSing, try and get a kill. You know it's not going to work out. Alfama comes in for the last kill, cleans up Renewals, and I have to say that entire round, Alfama, beautiful play.
Yeah, really the star of the round. And now 2 defensive rounds in a row for Supremacy. They seem to be at home on the defensive side. This is their 3rd defense round total, and if the trend continues, will be their 3rd defense round or win in a row.
Yeah, we'll see what Supremacy change up in this one, as they are in cache. I'll remind you, as you can tell, the Mira, the Echo are banned, so you won't be seeing Mira being set up in here, but Bandit will get played. I wonder if we're going to see Bandit plus Mute, but I'm kind of interested to see how Anthrax plays the Vigil. I think Blue Stairs might be an interesting position to have him in.
Well, as you know, with Vigil, he's viable wherever you want to roam him.
Legion, so most likely a garage top defense.
There you go, yeah, very likely. Yeah, those traps can really wreak havoc when you're trying to come in through the garage. You have to enter in through one bottleneck or another, especially if the garage wall is reinforced. And Thermite being the only hard destructor means
Defenders, protect
not
your bombs from being defused
all
by
attacks will have the utility available to push in through the garage panels, and we'll see what the actual decisions are that Chaos make in that regard, where they want to place that hard destruction.
Yeah, one thing I like about Chaos, realizing that maybe they're forcing out that Monty a bit too much. And it's not working out for them. You know what, just put any operator in and you'll be fine. And Crips will play the Dokkaebi this round. Now, Red Groove is very well known on the team for being an excellent Dokkaebi as well.
10 seconds remaining.
But he will be set on more of a support role with Thermite for this round.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah. Thermite could be a fragger operator as well, you know, just given the situation.
Objective is to locate a bomb and
He could turn into the Fragmite. But I like the setup here from Supremacy. So you have a shield in the doorway to construction, and that shield's going to allow for an easier challenge for any of the defenders into construction should they feel pressure from that direction. Now, Chaos is seemingly putting a lot of emphasis on this garage early on. They're doing a lot of droning. They're opening the garage door. But there's a problem with this take. First of all, they're going to have to expend one of their Thermites, which is totally doable. I mean, it's not too costly for them. But second, they don't have anything to make this push happen. They don't have a Glass. They don't have a Montaigne. And not having those tools for this push is going to complicate things quite a bit, especially considering there's a Legion who, as you can see, is completely dedicated to holding garage and putting all of his traps in there so far.
Crips watching out for a potential goo mine here as find it even. Anthrax still playing on the top. We talked about this, a great position for the Legion, and you know, our previous matchup with Penta versus IDK, we saw this position being used up for a quick 3K mop-up. Because you have some support, however, the MP will get thrown in and destroy the ADS that is set to protect the Legion up there from any grenades secretly coming around the side into construction. That'll destroy the shield.
So, before he used that nade, there was no one watching the construction, but we've now got a smoke. Deju's focused on the construction push. Still a potential avenue that the attackers could use, though they're very fixated on the garage. They have downed the Legion in that garage balcony. That's Anthrax now, who finally will get finished off. Good job there to Crips to make that happen. Alfalma doing Alfalma things and getting renewals, though. He's been fragging out in this match, and he's going to continue to do so. Smokes from Crips are just looking to cover the push into the site. A nade will down K6. Good coordination there between Nader and Red Groove. That's secretly from the B window. Red Groove will follow up with the finish off onto K6. So no more Bandit, no more Bandit tricking, no more any of that nonsense. Secretly inside of construction, cuts off the rotation from Alfalma. Obviously, Supremacy was not expecting that.
And the Juice will chuck in a gas canister at the 30-second mark. Your perfect time to get that done. And no, that is the last one now being used up. The EMP will get thrown in as the Juice cannot find the angle. On the back, secretly runs in. Kisco will take him out, though, from the eastern stairs as Red Groove comes in for the plant. Then 10 seconds available as Kisco will get heard. There is a Claymore that has been set, and you can see that that red line on the floor. That's the laser coming off of it. Crips is low on health. Red Groove is on full HP, though. He's playing from right behind the servers. Ups. You can see Crisco just sprays in, but fortunately, when he's done with the Alda, it will take so much to reload. But there you go. Red Groove cleans him up in Chaos to tie it at round 8, 4-4.
Constant back and forth as these teams fight for dominance. And dominance of the bottom of the barrel, yet again, worth bringing up. Both teams are trying to fight their way out of those positions in 7th and 8th. They need to get wins. If this is a draw, it cripples both squads. You know, we always say it, you know, we're still early in the season. You know, it's play day number 5. There's time left to go. But this stuff really adds up. Every draw you get hurts you a lot. I mean, losses are worse, of course. Of course. But draws, you're only getting a single point. Wins, you're getting 3. It's point potential lost. So as we get to 4-4 and this match looks increasingly close, it is making me worry that we're not going to have a victor here today. And if we don't have a victor here today, then both of these teams are condemning themselves for the next bit. I mean, at some point in the next few play days for Europe, these guys need to start getting wins, or they're going to stay where they are.
Yeah, it's eternal purgatory at that 7th and 8th position.
Right, and we've already talked about this before many times in the season. That 8th position gets you the
instant bye-bye.
Yeah, just instant relegation down to Challenger League, and you really don't want that.
Yeah. Alrighty then, so we'll see the setup again in Church by Supremacy on that 9th round. Last time, they were able to impact the last exothermic charge that Red Groove had in hand, and then prevent a push into the Church. There was still a Monty being played here by Chaos, and you know, it almost won it out, almost. But unfortunately, Monty, as strong, as wise as he is, it's not enough to block the last 2 defenders. But see, Crips bringing the Legion, K6 as well on the Valkyrie, and we'll see the Pulse yet again. Reynolds coming in from the sub-roof. Gonna check just in case there's anybody below, and his teammates will drone him in. They're just gonna open up that wall and move right on in. Now, Chaos, when they attacked on here last time, they got blindsided by a player from Oil Pit. So that won't happen this time around. That was the Jaeger Alfama, who's been doing pretty darn well this matchup. Secretly in the freezer, just getting info on any utility set below in the armory.
The constant struggle between IQ and Pulse will have to be postponed until a later date. It seems as Secretly rotates his way to Strip Hallway. In fact, meanwhile, still looking for some information. Now, last time Secretly detected the Pulse, it was actually right before he was C4'd from below. So something he wants to avoid this time. Very dangerous thing that he has to keep in mind. Now, Crisco is playing the bottom of main stairs. Again, we're talking about dangerous things, and he'll fall off that instead, choosing to save his potential goo traps.
Go Mine will get thrown in right above the generator to hold off on the blue stairs. Reynolds, in the meantime, is just opening up the floorboard in the hallway downstairs, having some line of sight. He'll get into the kitchen and floorboard a bit more.
So, as we come down to the last minute, we've got a lot of soft destruction going into kitchen. We've got the drop down yet to be opened up. Red Groove likely going to be on that right now, and it sounds like he may have just done so. K6 gets a TK onto Anthrax. That's the Pulse gone. So a lot of information has just been lost, or at least potential information moving forward in this round. Also, a potential C4. Renewals with the one-tap pistol kill onto K6. What a shot. Must have been on his drone, or rather his camera. Secretly throws a nade, but misses some shots, and Crisco will get a kill for his team. So Supremacy starting to fight back. Although it's not all equalized here for Supremacy, they still have a long way to go. Chaos have control over top of kitchen, and they're just now starting to make their push into dirt. Both thermite charges have been used, one on the drop down to kitchen and the other onto the wall in dirt. And here comes the phone call. So, final push. Crips hitting the Legion Mine, and have to fall back into blue stairs. Alfalma, again, absolutely on fire in this match. Will hit a nice headshot onto Red Groove. DeJuice holds onto blue. What a shot. Alfalma with a second before being shut down. It's all up to Renewals in a 1-on-2. And DeJuice says, no sir. Supremacy get the 5-4 in their favor and put it on to a guaranteed draw, if not a win.
This is a complicated position for both teams. Now, Supremacy are obviously looking for that win. A 6-4 lineup would be perfect for the Frenchmen because they still get 2 rounds out of it, so +2. And they get the 3 points, which, you know, brings them a bit further up. Now, a big reason of why you don't want to lose the matches is just in case you have a head-to-head in the second half. So Chaos will scramble for that extra round to be put on the board to tie it, because if they don't, they will have to win the matchup once they get to the second half of the season. If not, then we might see Chaos going down to that 8th place permanently.
Yeah, it could be really bad for Chaos if they lose here. I mean, the draw is not going to be great for them either, to be honest. Supremacy really needs this win as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole conversation going on, is both of these squads really needed the win, and now there is no way for Chaos to win this. Meanwhile, Supremacy are going to put every ounce of their being, I'm sure, into getting this final round victory. And if they can, they get those 3 points, they start climbing their way back up.
K6 setting up his barbed wire here, of course, on the dock. We'll see if Supremacy, well, how much utility they dedicate to the hold of the server and the cash room before they fall back on to the bedroom. Now, you can see this as a bit more of a tiered defense because of how bedroom is defended now with a lot of open holes in the wall. You get actually left with a few reinforcements at the end of the setup. So this is why you see quite a few actually being used in the server room.
We're seeing the same thing happen that we've seen a couple times before, actually, where oh wow, interesting. MK17 on
It's not buffed yet.
It's not, yeah, it's not buffed yet. It's getting there, but still interesting to see. Anyway, the way that people typically hold this master is they extend themselves east into cache, and we've been seeing that a lot, and we're seeing it yet again. And here comes the thermite charge. That was actually really early, and the impact is actually going to miss from Dejus. Poor timing, and he's actually extremely lit as well. 1 bullet's worth of HP on the smoke, and at any moment he could be shot, droned out and shot, or just eliminated very easily. You can see the long angle. What? Snookin missing all of his shots. And a Dejus, oh no, actually, correction. It's possible Dejus got stimmed before he made the rotation. But either way, some pretty bad misses there.
Yeah, unfortunately there, but we'll see Renewal's getting the kill on Alfama. You're seeing Alfama especially really excelling for his team. So it is a good frag on the top fragger for Supremacy. And I wonder if the Bandit will take his equipment off the other side of the map, because honestly, you have a Bandit, you have a castle. Why is your setup for the server? Now the site is completely open.
What?
And Secretly just runs on in, he'll get 1 kill. That is the smoke taken down. And now Chaos have a man advantage to play with, even after losing
Bomb located by
Secretly
attackers.
there, who had already done a lot of work for the team. Reynolds is even in the bathroom.
This is absolutely insane. Supremacy invested too heavy in their roam over on the cache side of things, and now all Chaos needs to do is just move the diffuser in and plant it. But they seem to be slowing down in that regard. Crips from the front door is going to get Anthrax. K6 with a run out will get his 2nd in the round, Snookin down, and it's all really just K6 right now trying to keep this alive. Crips on the main stairs also fighting back. K6 gets a 3rd. Renewal's taken out, and oh no, Crisco eliminated Meech. K6 will have to ace or win on time to win this round. Now he's taking it slow. They know he's in construction, and Red Groove will not miss his shot. Chaos tie it up, and we see it go 5-5. Neither team will claw their way from their position, and it will be just a bit of a stagnation in that regard.
Yeah, we'll remind you that Supremacy yesterday, in their match against IDK, the 2nd top team in Europe, they did get a tie. It was on Coastline. Chaos, I think, in this matchup forced themselves to play the Monty a bit too much. And that really tunnel visioned themselves, because you saw at the end, when they didn't have to focus on the Monty, they played excellently. They were able to get into a site where they saw that the defenders had invested too much utility on the other side of the map and just walked on in from it.
Yeah, really props to Chaos being able to read that end of the round there.